Like sands through the hourglass, so are the days of our Indy. This is Captain April, and these are the days of our Indy.
Okay, few things. Nothing specific about Indy particular in this thing, although we'll say that right now she's doing a private live stream. And even if they're dropping the tickets to under $10, last check, she's like 7 people watching. And like donations are worth $300. But again, fans gets like 40% of that. So it's like almost like, why bother? But other things going on here. Come across a few little bits. One was a link from an Am I the Asshole thread about guy hooked up with what he thought was a girl and originally they're not going to go really heavy, but then really start going, goes down on him and then expects him to do the same after it, but he goes on and really smells like, feces and stuff. Really, yeah, this is not right. And he comments about it and oh, that's just normal because they're so close together, but then immediately gets dressed in books and confused. Am I the asshole for doing something? I think what happened is player here got hooked up with a post-op. Because the thing is, if the vaginoplasty doesn't have enough material to really go deep enough to do a proper thing, they will use a section of colon to make up the difference. And it turns out it's not just the fecal matter, it just naturally smells that way, and it doesn't go away. Even if no more shit is passing through it, it's still going to smell like that. So another undeniable fact of reality and biology, your lower intestine is going to smell like shit no matter what. And so that's what you're laying up for, guys. If you're going to do the thing, it's like they're going to do from elsewhere. At which point you might as well just seal it up shut anyways. You're never going to get anything. It's not going to feel right. So, but it's just the stupidity of the entire thing. But a little more thing here. Let's pull this up here. Because this is getting a little intense here. From Arwen Strong here. Let me get over here and get that a little bigger so you can see what's going on. This time I made sure to minimize the messages. But let's look longer discussion here going on about how it's like, and there's starting off here. It's like, I'll talk about the asexual thing. It's like, we're supposed to honor you for not doing something. What? This has gotten stupid. Everything's got an acceptance thing. But asexuality is a spectrum, and not everything needs to be validated, guys. Especially if you're going to be validated for not engaging in a normal activity. When are we going to have non-smokers awareness? Because we were smart enough not to start that. Okay, it's just getting stupid. But here's where she chimes in on this thread. I've been able to asexual by the cult, demisexual specifically, since loveless sex doesn't appeal to me. Apparently, this is so far removed from normal, read porn sexuality, that I might as well be asexual. We stop pathologizing normality yet. My own mother called me my sexually narrow, which used to be called monogamy. And even Sam Kinison said, you really shouldn't have sex unless you're really in love, It may be a very short fucking time, but it's a little extra, just, unless you're really into the person. Okay, here we get finally get a definition for at least one. Demisexuality doesn't mean you don't want to have sex with people you aren't in love with. Demisexuality means you aren't attracted to people at all unless you're a deep That's exactly what it means, you fuckhead. What? That's stupid. These people are idiots. I think 60 years of pornified culture leads us to a place where falling in love before sex is seen as profoundly abnormal, if not pathologized outright, because being pro-sex is deemed the only healthy and non-bigoted choice. I find people physically attractive more based on eyes and smile than show personality or aesthetic. There's a huge difference between that and sexual attraction, at least to me, which requires me actually fall in love. Those definitions are straight from my LGBTQ plus friends. And this comes back. Demisexual people frequently report not being attracted to anyone at all and being confused about other people. Yeah. Your friends would call them a cult. Some of the ideologies from the LGBT cult, my friends are simply members or simply just gay. Yes, I call the cult itself that after they brainwashed and mutilated my autistic CPTSD, sexually abused her whole life best friend, and after I saw the way they treat detransitioners. Like any cult, those who leave are mercilessly attacked for daring to leave it and or disagree. It doesn't mean LGBT aren't my friends. They are. A few disagree with some of my ideologies even. I was simply stating one of the ideological tenets I've learned through members. Does your best friend feel mutilated? The majority of LGBT are fine with detransitioners as long as they don't become anti-trans drifters. Right, as long as they stay quiet and don't speak out about the damage they've suffered. Detransitioner activists are no more grifters than trans activists are. Both sides believe in their cause. Just because someone disagrees with you and speaks out doesn't make them a grifter. And here's where we get to the goodies. They can speak out about their own regrets and damage without advocating for a transition to be made illegal for trans people who need it. Their lived experience is a valid part of the discussion. They have a right to advocate for what they sincerely believe would help them, just like trans people, activists who are trans, without being labeled a grifter. Otherwise, you'd have to call out prominent trans actors as grifters, which I would personally disagree with because I believe both sides deserve to be heard. Trans people aren't trying to make it illegal to detransition, though. Actually, trans activists do make it impossible to detransition in some cases. Doctors literally can't suggest any form of treatment other than complete affirmation without being deemed converted. Other detransitioners have spoken of being outright gaslit by their doctors, and it must be dysphoria, societal pressure, or OCD. But of course, that OCD supposedly has no influence on the professed trans identity to begin with. When Chloe Cole told her doctor she wanted help getting back to her female hormone levels, her doctor informed her that all she could do was give her the hormone levels for teenage boys. So if a girl tells a therapist she even thinks maybe she's a boy, she's instantly affirmed and on the conveyor belt to losing her breasts. Detransition services are not even offered, let alone covered. There isn't even an insurance code to cover it. Detransitioners have no insured access to hormones or hair removal, let alone breast removal / reconstruction. And if you had bottom surgery, your health is screwed. If a woman miraculously manages to have a child like Prisha Mosley, her breasts scream with white-hot pain from swollen milk ducts attached to nothing. It tore her mastectomy scars open. There isn't even an insurance code to bill her, help her. Oh, and this guy shoots back in. It's not illegal, and you're putting these faults on trans activists when the majority of them would stand by if you're asking for something like insurance for your care. The issue is even trans activists, doctors not respect. Okay. Yeah, currently in the Colorado state legislature, they're trying to pass a bill to make it illegal to not affirm your child and to misgender them. These people are fucking nuts, okay? I am sick to death of these idiots. I can't read that. The Democrats are trying to make it illegal to misgender their own child and not affirm their trans identity. So technically take that line of reason and shove it up whatever holes you're currently sporting. And let's see, let's now repost it. I'll say it again. Gender ideology is inherently evil and must be stamped out. There's nothing good coming out of this. Kids are being mangled and sterilized because they got a personality quirk. It's evil. It's evil. It's eugenics designed to reshape humanity via language and mass sterilization of undesirables like autistics, gays, and the mentally ill. Thanks for the thing. I said I'm doing the live stream as we are right now. Like this has gone too damn far. I want you to select what I posted. And let's see, there's another one here. Let's get a little more lighthearted here. Back it up one more. And a little more. I can find that one. Here we are. Let's put this up here. I'm going to mute.
You don't medically transition.
Okay.
Your birth name, have a non-binary identity, choose not to bind. You can still identify as trans.
There we go.
You don't medically transition, keep your birth name, have a non-binary identity, choose not to bind, tuck, or pack, aren't out. Trans just means your gender doesn't align with your assigned sex at birth.
Another
Still identify as trans, even if you...
Bullshit. You don't have to do a damn thing. And you'll still be trans. Just admit it. It's a lie. It's total bullshit. Nothing about this makes any damn sense anymore, okay? Not taking any calls right now. You don't have to do it. You don't even have to change your name or claim anything. Just, it's all in the head. It's all in here. Yeah, it is all up in here. It's a mental disturbance. And up until recently, you did not start doing surgery for most of your mental disturbances. Again, I'm going to be a little charitable here to actual transsexuals. And these are people who will openly admit that it is a mental disturbance here. Buck Angel, Blair White, Marcus Deep, even Caitlyn Jenner will not claim to be the wrong sex, stuck in the wrong body. They will freely admit, no, this is a mental disorder, and this is what we have to do in order to live with myself. Okay. And it's usually they all kind of went through the thing back when you had to go through a lot of hoops and be seriously diagnosed with this, kind of going through to try and reclaim the word transsexual. And again, that one is the whole point is to blend in, to pass. And if you don't, well, it means you got to try a little harder, okay? And they know it's not going to be complete. Caitlyn Jenner will always just look kind of the bigger, brawnier, closest you get is the bigger, brawnier, sister of Rene Russo, but still, And Buck Angel's like, on camera, we're just sitting here talking about, the voice and the mannerisms tick you off. But in real life, I think we're probably about the same height. There'll be a couple of short dudes, one on bald with a full beard, Marcus. Yeah, it's like, still too much of a kid. So, a little bit of scruffy beard, but still, like at the most a 15-year-old boy, And Blair is doing, serious work, and also very good with the contouring. But again, no one's trying to stand up. Look at me! I'm trying. No, they're speaking out because it's gone too far. And like I said, I think, and in the specific case of Indy, I think it's all starting to fall apart. And because talking about, trying to cut down on all the shopping and not do anything with it, with the cosplay stuff. Even so, just talk, stop it, woman. It's like, do you just refer to yourself as woman? Mister, I'm a man, refer me or I'll ban you. That's the thing I don't think she quite kind of took into account is like, this takes a lot of effort to maintain just the self-delusion that you're the opposite sex. And Indy said over and over again, she's lazy. Okay. Kind of, when she came back from her break, kind of a belated New Year's resolution to start, just not streaming, only streaming when she felt like it, and getting to the gym more often again. And I think it's like, yeah, it's starting to fall apart, especially when you start hitting 30. Because used to say it's like, 25 is when the brain is fully, well, one, she's been pickling her brain and marijuana and other drugs for 10 fucking years. It's like, there's a lot of stunted development going on there. So, like, I think she's maybe just starting to catch up to where she should have been in her early 20s. But also, it's like, nature pulls a very cruel trick when you hit your 30s. The energy level drops, okay? Although your appetite doesn't necessarily drop, in accordance. That's why you see a lot of people in like their 30s blow up. Certainly happened with me. I was throughout my 20s. I was still around 150. The most I got was like 150 or so. Now I would commit a few minor felonies to get back in the area of 150, 160 or so. I'm starting to make I've gotten down to about 2. Hitting all that Slim Fast is doing some work. But yeah, and again, like I said, again, getting back, to the specific Indy, because this is, a Days of Our Indy video. On a professional level on her, she's killed her brand. Private stream, dropping the ticket prices down, and it never got more than 9 viewers. This is two-time Pornhub award-winning, Indigo White. She was in the top 25, models on all of Pornhub at one point, and there's thousands of models on Pornhub, so that's pretty high. And but it's like, she went this trans thing and just about a year after, it's like she got booted. I mean, they dug up a thing about you need to have clearances for these things. What she did with her boyfriend back when she first starting off, and they're bringing that. But instead of doing the easy thing of just deleting those videos, which most sites will do, we don't need the hassle. You want it gone, it's gone. And for a while they were gone, but they held on to them because about the last day, and these things crop back up again. And that was the excuse they used. Well, she wouldn't get a clearance to these guys, so she's banned. What really was happening? Like a few people have come out and said, this is what we did. She pissed off a lot of people who are looking for genuine femboys on there. Because she had her gender changed as to male, but she's done nothing to actually physically transition. And this kind of goes in the thing of like, no, Indy, you don't have a male brain. Otherwise, you'd realize that men are very specific in what they want. Even gay men. And in the case of gay men, they don't want to see pussy. They want to see a live dick. You're not providing that. There's no way you could provide that. Even if you went, bottom surgery, but, it would never happen because it wouldn't do anything. It just lay there. You have to do the penis pump thing. There'd be nothing happening with it. So, so the plan, plus she likes DP too much. But it's like, total misread. And again, I think what's going on, I don't think in the laundry list of mental disorders she's copped to over the years, one she hasn't is being autistic. And I think that is, studies have shown that the female autistic brain functions much like a typical male brain. I think that may be what's going on here in Indy's case, is they in all the other things, they kind of miss a diagnosis of autism on some degree. And I think that may be what's happening, where she thinks she has a male brain. No, you don't. You got a few tendencies, but it's still very much you have no fucking clue what way men think. And just when we were talking and the explanation you go through, no man thinks like that. Okay, get off that train now. You don't have a male brain, Indy. You never did. I think there may be an element of normally, if all things considered, she probably would have grown up being a tomboy, but she, for some reason, started going girly girl thing, and the frustration is built to the point where it's like, I must really be a boy. I just, no, you just, again, the whole thing also, I think, hinges upon something that happened when she was very little that she is refusing to deal with for whatever reason. She cannot bring herself to actually tackle it. They've gone through all kinds of different therapies to try and get there, and she just can't do it. So I don't know. But she's also brushed it off as not that traumatic. So I think, what the hell? Now, something that's come up a lot lately has been, in these cases, is dialectical behavior therapy. It's just come on really big in the past. It's been around since like 2016, but it's really started kicking up now. I'm hearing a lot of stuff about it. The thing is, I think it's going to start kicking in is since Indy declared herself trans, and therefore nobody was allowed to bring it up. But again, there's one thing. Anybody who brings up this stuff with doctor, they're therapy, which is precisely what gender affirming care is. It is conversion therapy writ large, where you're taking somebody who, I think I might be this. Well, then we're going to, surgically and medically, chemically alter you into some grotesque approximation of what you say you are. Instead of maybe, how about we look at the mental issue of why you suddenly think you're this? I think, again, I think that Indy's thing is like, because, she came upon this epiphany at the ripe old age of like 27, that no, she's not part of that. No, you're missing the part that you've also got a serious case of arrested development. Look around your house and your room that you work in. That is not the workplace of a responsible adult. You're still living like the 19-year-old cheerleader doing porn down the hallway from her parents, hoping they don't find out. And I know she's busy with us. She's not going to see this for a while. But I know she will see it eventually, because someone's going to buy, hey, it's talking about you. Yeah, here's what I'm saying. Wake the fuck up. Before you do something stupid, you can't walk back. And again, leaving this thing on, you just want me to be happy. No, I don't want you to be hating yourself and unhappy. I want you to get some peace and get working. To get a hold of the mental issues you've already admitted to, have already been diagnosed with, and get back to reality. Get back to your actual life. I mean, imagine your folks would like to have their daughter back, I mean, I think the reason why I keep getting crap, not just the porn thing, but look, you got one daughter. She's the rocket scientist down in LA, literally. And then you got the eldest daughter who does porn and thinks she's a boy. That I don't know. It's like, I imagine your folks, if they're being good liberal Washington State couple. They're getting some traction out of having a trans kid. But that's coming to a screeching halt pretty quick here, Indy, because, again, on the 28th is due basically the U.S. version of the CAS report, where they're going to go through and pretty much dismantle this entire WPATH bullshit chain of fuck that has been built. And again, Rachel Levine, I think at this point, maybe bringing her up on this idiot up on charges for the wholesale destruction this moron has perpetrated on this country and the society. This stuff is going down, and you do not want to be on the wrong side of this, Indy. Okay. I hope the video you're doing comes out, you're making during this whole thing is coming out okay. But if it's another femboy thing, it's going to be a lot of wasted time for nothing. In case you hadn't noticed, I don't think the femboy stuff sells that well. Okay, because it's all crap. There's no fooling anybody that this is a plastic dick. Okay, that you're stroking and pretending to make it come, but like nothing happens, and it's not going to happen. What people are watching the stuff is that a personal affection to you, but that only goes so far. Otherwise, again, I'm not trying to convince you to stop doing porn, because it's a creative outlet for you. You like doing it. You cited, fairly laudable reasons for doing it back in the day. Trying to be friends, something to offer to lonely guys and give them something to do. It's like, how realistic that is to the general population, I don't know. But hey, I consider it an altruistic thing. I'm fine. This is what you want. I'm fine. Again, what kind of hypocrite would I be? Because that's why I find you in the first damn place. What kind of a raging hypocrite would I be if I said, "Oh, you must be as pure"? No, bull. None of us are. The virginity train left a long time ago. Okay. Long before you were born, Indy. So I'm going to pretend. It's like, this is just, the longer it goes on, it's like, I'm hoping that this bill somehow gets shut. Enough Democrats in the House say this is wrong. You're trying to criminalize parenting. Like, this is wrong. And it's also blatantly unconstitutional because it goes against freedom of speech and a few other things here. So, but it'd be easier, as far as the Colorado legislature, just don't pass it in the first damn place and tell these trans activists to go fuck themselves. These radical leftists have done enough damage to this state. I don't recognize the state I'm in anymore. I grew up here. We moved here in 1967 when I was 3 years old. Now it's just, what the hell? This is the kind of crap why I left California, okay? Because I was out there for a few years of the Air Force and a few years afterwards going to school. I was like, no, forget it. I left there, early 90s. And then suddenly a lot of them followed me. And because California and Colorado culturally are similar enough, outside of surf, instead of Hershey, we got beach bums. They integrated very well and then took over the place. And now, since California is now a complete basket case, going to try and do the same thing to Colorado. And unfortunately, the Colorado GOP is next to worthless. So yeah, it's going to be a tough time out here for a while. We may end up going to Texas. Who knows? But this is the kind of idiocy we're dealing with now. So they go, is this what you voted for? Trump cutting that? Yes, this is exactly what I voted for. And more, please. Get these idiots to stop and put them back in the crazy box where they belong. Let's get a few, common sense Democrats to wake up and say, what the hell happened to our party? But we're starting to go off track here. So, half hour. It's good and long. So we will talk at you later.
A sound soul dwells within a sound mind and a sound body.